Hey there, YouTube. This is me again. Um, what I have right here in my hands is my Inner Arms AKM. This is a 7.62 by 39. Um, this was a rifle this was my first rifle that I bought with my own money uh, at a gun show, and I believe it was early 2017. I believe it was February. Can't really remember the price that I have for it, but at the time it was the only 7.62 by 39 that I had, and that I bought with my own money because my dad prior to this had an SKS that I currently have now. Um, right now, as you could see, if I could. Sorry guys, it's very hard to hold with it. One phone on one hand on my phone and the other one free, but you'll see that there's nothing in the chamber, obviously, to be sure. Yep. Because the fully loaded magazine is right here. And this is the hold on here. And this right here, this is the 7.62 by 39. This is what this fires. Well, specifically my AKM and my SKS. This is just standard. It's Red Army standard, but reality is it's just plain old Tula ammo. That's all that it is, really. It says Red Army standard right there on the box, but reality is it's just the same old Tula ammo that you get, you know. And the reason why I say this is because this was my first 7.62 by 39 that I had bought with my own money at a gun show, and it was literally my first assault rifle that I bought with my own money, even though technically it's not a assault rifle. It's just really nothing more than a semi-automatic, you know. Not that much different from my AR and my 92 FS, you know. The action may be different, but the functionality of it is the exact same. I saw I put God knows how many rounds through this, probably more than I could remember. And I think there was actually one memorable video that I actually saw where In Range TV, I think that's the name of the YouTube channel. In Range TV had a guy who had a wheelbarrow full of mud, and what he would do is he would take this AKM or an AK derivative, and he would drop it into mud and everything else, because because what he was proving to the gun tube community was that the AK-47, or more specifically the AKM, is a very reliable rifle provided you don't drop it in mud. It will do fine in sand and everything else, but it will not work in mud because of the looser tolerances that the AKM has. Let me pop the top. Yeah, if I can get it. If I can. I'm gonna go ahead and set the camera down here a little bit. Yeah, it's just a .30 caliber ammo can. That should be able to do it. Well, actually, no, better yet. This thing around. There we go. Okay. Now, if we can just turn this around here, you'll notice that your AKM has a lot looser tolerances than the AR-15, which allows for all that mud to get into the action, preventing it from firing. And the piston, which is located right in here, when the mud gets into the piston area, it doesn't have a chance to blow out, because what the piston is doing is, when it's going back and forth, it's actually compacting the mud into the gas system, and that could cause a lot of problems back here. And so put this top cover back on here. There we go. Now it's back on. In comparison to the AR-15, you'll notice that the tolerances are a lot tighter on the AR, because what that does is, let me close this. The tighter tolerances on the AR are so that you have this you have this cover right here, and this way when you drop it in mud, it'll keep all of the mud out of the action. And what that also does is, if there is mud on the action, what happens is, if there's mud on this part of the bolt right here, what happens is, when the round fires, it goes from here all the way to here via the gas tube, and via the gas port right here, and the gas is then bled off from here all the way down through the gas tube through back here. And these little holes right here is where the excess gas bleeds off of. So that way, whatever mud or whatever crud is on this part of the bolt, it is simply blown out. Because that's how the AR-15 and M16 family of rifles works, because it's working off of the gas impingement, whereas the AK, on the other hand, is utilizing a short stroke piston similar to that of my M1 carbine and my my SKS. So not only that, but the another advantage of the my AR over my AK-47 is that not only is my AR-15 a bit more modular and more readily available, especially nowadays, especially for first-time shooters, it'd be a lot cheaper. The only reason why I paid so much more for my Colt is because of the brand name, you know. But other than that, it's still a very, very, very reliable system that Eugene Stoner had designed. So, you know, it's still a very reliable system. Yeah, you got to clean it and everything else. Yeah, you got to clean it and everything else. It's not that much different from my AK or any of my other firearms here. You know, you gotta clean your weapon system. You gotta take care of it. You know, and that's really I think that's really the gist of it. But yeah, another advantage that I love about my AR and my AK is that they're both fun shooters. They're both really, really fun to shoot. However, I'm just getting the loaded magazine from my AK. There we go. I'll show you what I'm talking about here. Now, you'll notice that with the AKM magazine, you'll notice a slight curve. The reason for this is because the 7.62x39 is a tapered cartridge, which means that if you want to fit all 30 rounds into there, you could do it, but it has to be tapered. The Russians designed this cartridge that way for a reason, because of how, you know, because of the tapering of the cartridge. They designed their magazines banana shaped for that reason. Whereas with the AR, you don't really have a tapered round. You don't have a tapered cartridge, in a sense. But then again, well, actually, I think the AR-15, I think, is the same way. But you'll notice that there's a slight curve on this magazine. You know, the advantage that the AR has is that, you know, in the case of this 223 Remington right here, you can carry more rounds with you for less weight. And this would actually make a bit more sense if you are weight conscious, because when you're going out on a hike, for example, and stuff like that, or in case in point, you decide to go coyote hunting, 30 rounds of this would be more than enough for you to protect yourself not only against coyotes, but against whomever decides to attack you after that. Whereas with this, same exact thing, but you're talking a lot more weight because of the bigger round and the much heavier magazine. And for me, a caliber like this, even though, yeah, it's small and stuff like that, it's small for a reason, because you can carry more rounds with you. It's the same reason that, here, let me this thing around here, and my camera just so happened to haphazardly fall. Gonna unload my beretta here. It's also the same reason why the U.S. went from the 1911 to the M9, because you can carry more of these for less weight than you would a 45. This just so happens to be 17 round 92 FS magazine. This is just the Winchester 115 grain silver tip bullets that I have. These are jacketed hollow points. The other 17 round magazine that I have has got the full metal jacket. This is what the military is issued. Granted, it's not 124 grain. This particular one is not. This is actually Cellier and Below 9mm 115 grain. 115 grain full metal jacket, but you get the idea. This is technically what the military uses. And for the longest time, the reasons why they went with this, they went with this beretta was because of Stan Ag 4090, which by that point in the 1980s was already the go-to, was already being understood by Europe at that time, because the 9mm NATO caliber grain weight at that time for the 9mm Parabellum was 115 grains, because that was all that was because that was all that they had. That was all that the European countries had for their military. And so what ended up happening was, when the United States phased out the 1911 in the 1980s, they looked at this, and they looked at the 92 and the SIG P226 and all the other, and some of the American guns that were chambered in 9mm at the time, and they put them all through the XM9 trials. And what they had found was the American guns simply did not, were not up to the task, and they failed. Whereas the Beretta and the SIG, they survived. They survived the battery of tests, and both of them survived really well. But the Beretta had won. But the Beretta 92 had won out due to the cheaper price, due to the cheaper unit costs that the federal government was looking at. And though Beretta won the contract, SIG, because the Beretta ended up having the SIG and the Beretta both ended up having a problem with the 9mm NATO ammunition that was first being made by the Winchester Olin Company. It had found out that when you have a commercial powder, and when you load it to, this is a 9mm Luger, by the way. This is 115 grains and not 124 grains. But again, you get the gist. What they did was they took a military casing with a much higher primer cup, and what they did was they filled it with the commercial powder. And when they did that, what had happened was you ended up making a 9mm proof cartridge. And so what would happen is, when you give the Beretta and the SIG steady diets of the 9mm proof cartridges, what ends up happening is the frame would ultimately crack, because it's not designed to take 9mm proof loads. It is rated for plus P, which is why the SEALs, went and saw the problem, and Beretta had sued the United States government because of that, because of the damage to Beretta's reputation. Okay, and just for a side note here, guys, I'm sorry if I'm going off track here, but I'm just giving you an explanation based off of what I had learned and what I know. Keep in mind that I'm no expert in any sort of firearms whatsoever. I'm just simply just doing explanations based off of what I had learned from other people like Small Arms Solutions, you know. Anyways. I took this Beretta apart here. Took my 92 apart here to show you what Beretta did. What Beretta did to circumvent the problem with the 9mm proof loads that Winchester was having, because the U.S. government did not even know how much more of the proof ammunition was even out there. And what Beretta did was they put this thing on the back right here, you know, this way if the slide did have a failure or stuff like that, it wouldn't go back and hit you in the face. It would simply stop right here along this track. And to be honest, you know, I can understand the reason why, because of all the 9mm proof ammunition, you don't know what kind of 9mm ammunition is even out there. So I can understand where Beretta is coming from on that. And another common failure point that Beretta had was with the here, let me turn this. Another common failure point that the Beretta had is the locking blocks. You'll notice that when the pistol fires, they well, actually here, let me put this thing back into the to the slide here to show you. When the Beretta fires, you know, here, let me try to put the entire gun back together. I'll just keep the magazine. I'll keep the magazine out of it here. See, it's empty, guys. When the when the handgun fires, the barrel moves very little. Because that's how the locking block works on this. It's very similar to the German P38. Basically, when you're looking at the Beretta 92 FS, you're looking at really nothing more than a... basically, when you're looking at a Beretta 92 FS, you're really looking at nothing more than the double stack variant of the P38. You know, again, it too is a very, very reliable system despite its faults and all that. The U.S. military, you know, some of the people in the U.S. military who were issued this Beretta, they fucking hated it. But then you got other people in the U.S. military who absolutely loved it, you know. But yeah. Anyways, sorry for the long tangent, guys. I just wanted to try to show you the differences between the AKM and the my AKM and my AR-15, And I kind of went a little bit of a tangent on my beretta. So, hope you guys like the video. Please feel free to leave a comment down below in the comment section. And above all else, just leave a like, share with your friends, and always should be sure to subscribe to the channel and help the channel grow. You know, it really does help me a lot when you guys do that. Yeah, you guys have a good one now.